Hey everybody, it's Saturday, November 6th, 2021. Thank you for being here. Back with another face-to-face and another dose of economic reality. We've got a lot of information to get into today. We've got a prediction that the end is possibly near. We're going to talk about who's saying that and what that means. We've got a homeless epidemic in California, but not just who most people might suspect. Students. Students are becoming more homeless now, and colleges are having to cater to students in some cases and having designated parking areas for these homeless people to sleep in. We're going to talk about the markets. We're going to talk about a lot more. First, please make sure you've got that notification bell checked and are subscribed so you can come back for all the latest news. And I think what the country is seeing right now, and I was thinking about this seems to be like a slow motion economic collapse. Now, it's definitely becoming more noticeable, but an inflationary collapse where people lose the purchasing power of their dollar and the wages are not keeping up with the rising prices, that's less noticeable than when the Dow Jones crashes by 20,000, when the stock market collapses overnight, and when home prices plunge, in a matter of a few weeks or months. Of course, something like that, that deflation, that crash or collapse or drop in prices, that's much more noticeable. But the inflationary collapse, that's less noticeable, but it's becoming more noticeable now with all these price increases that have been happening. And we're seeing breakdowns in several different areas. We see the labor force breaking down, the health crisis is continuing. We see the supply chain crunch because of the labor shortage and other issues as well. Rising energy costs on top of everything else, all the transportation that has to be done, companies, corporations. Business owners continuing to see higher expenses, higher cost of living, higher operation costs. But again, definitely not as noticeable as a crash in prices or a crash in the market. And that could be the game plan. That could be what the manipulators want to happen. It's going to be inflate, inflate, inflate. Everything is so manipulated. Fake markets. At the click of a mouse, they can bring this market up. They can bring it down. And that's what happens when you have endless amounts of digital money that can be created at the click of a mouse. By the money printers, by the money machine, even the banks. Even the banks are loaning out money in digital form, money that they don't actually have. It's just digital. So for example, the last time you bought or sold a home, did you get the payment in coins and paper, or was it an EFT, an electronic funds transfer? Right, digital money. 99% of the time, 99.9 more like it. Digital funds, not really money. And that's what we see, and that's why the markets can be manipulated at the click of a mouse. That's why banks can loan out money that they actually don't have. There is no longer any reserve requirement for the banks. I think most of you know this, but I try to repeat things every once in a while because we have new subscribers that come here, and they start asking questions. They're like, what is he talking about? What does this mean? What does that mean? So yes, I'm going to reiterate things from time to time, but let's take a look at what a major investor and market analyst had to say here recently. And this was out of Robert Kiyosaki. Zillow Flipping flops, and we reported on this a few episodes ago. Is real estate boom about to bust? Followers of Rich Dad, that's his book and I think his podcast. He does not flip houses. He prefers properties that have cash flow forever and pay zero taxes. Yes, major investors find a way to get around taxes on properties. Taxes and risk flipping too high. The risk is too high for flipping, he says. Be careful. Zillow's flop may be 2008 again. Be aware. End may be near. So he's saying this could be the writing on the wall for something larger. I love Robert's analysis, and I have to disagree. I don't think that Zillow paying too much for homes and losing a lot of money because they paid too much is going to be the tipping point of the real estate market. In fact, home prices continue to rise faster than ever. Let's take a look at a recent article. This just out a few days ago, Case-Shiller Home Price Index growth matches record high. What this means for homeowners. Home prices surge at 20% annually, 20%. All right, and if you've been on this channel, you know I've been calling for nothing but rising prices. There's been other channels out there predicting a crash. Some of these channels predicting it for years. And guess what? They get a lot more views than I do, because people like to think that home prices are going to come down. A lot of people are priced out of the housing market. And there's something called hopium that people like to take, and they hope that prices will crash. Well, if I wanted more views, I could probably start saying prices are going to crash, but home prices are going to continue to go up. There's nothing being done to stop the way the banking system is operating right now. And what is that? Again, you tell me. It's endless amounts of money created out of thin air. Banks loaning out money that they actually don't have in digital form, more mortgages, and people tend to get confused on the wealth status of a lot of people, right? So I had someone ask me recently, "Hey JJ, why is my brother going out and buying a $600,000 home? They sold their current home, got 170 almost 180,000 equity. This was here in California, and went out and got a $600,000 home." And he said, they're doing great. Why am I saying that people are not doing good? Well, people are doing okay on paper, right? So if you cash out and you get $180,000 equity on your home, that's awesome. You've got $180,000 now that you didn't have, and what are you going to do with it? That's the question. So these people went out and got a mortgage for a $600,000 home. Yes, they did get almost 180,000 equity, and they put that as a down payment towards their $600,000 home. So now they've got more debt, and that gives the illusion that people are doing better. Sure, they have a bigger home, a more expensive home, but now they have more debt. They have a bigger mortgage than they had at their old house that they sold and cashed out of. Right, and their previous home was like less than 400,000. So they got a more expensive home that may make people feel better. It may, I would feel better if I got a bigger home. I'm choosing not to at this point for that reason. I don't want to go out and take on more debt than I already have. All right, the same thing with my two cars that are still running great. One's a 2008, one's a 2014. They're paid off. Could I go out and get a loan and get a newer car? Absolutely. I'm probably going to keep these cars running as long as I can, though, because I just don't like being in a bunch of debt. All right, so home prices continuing to surge. Kiyosaki says that what happened with Zillow with the home flipping could be a turning point. And for those of you that didn't watch that episode or haven't heard about it, Zillow flips homes, but they took huge losses on their home flipping. A big part of that was the rising cost of materials to remodel these homes or to upgrade these homes. And they paid way too much, and they lost a lot of money. All right, now let's get into some other news here today. Let's talk about the college student situation with all these homeless people in California. Long Beach City College creates a secure parking lot for homeless students. So you have to have a whole parking lot now for homeless students. Homeless students. You could think, you could see older people that have too many bills. Maybe they have too many expenses, but college students, homeless, having to sleep in their cars. What do you think? Is everybody getting rich on home equity? Or are we headed into some even worse times here? Are things going to continue to get worse? Is Kiyosaki right? Is this a turning point in the housing market? Are we going to see a housing collapse? Well, at the click of a mouse, they could inject trillions into the mortgage companies, into the banks, that would allow banks to continue to loan out even bigger and bigger mortgages to infinity. There is no end. You guys let me know, but that's what I think. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your engagement and leaving comments. We really appreciate that. Also, thank you to everyone sharing these videos and getting the message out. And even if it's not my video, please talk to your friends, your family about what's happening with this country. We're headed in some very, very dark times, in my opinion. Everything that we see now is going to continue to get worse as far as I can see. They're going to come after the working class. They're going to try to tax you per mile. Get ready, folks. The working class is about to get punished even harder. Thanks for being here.